Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Remember last episode where we had like a 2-year anniversary?
Nope.
Yeah, it happened.
Okay.
It was our 2-year anniversary last episode. I just want to tell you about something.
What was that?
I want to take a second to recommend some great podcasts that are available now on Stitcher Premium.
Oh.
And if I may start with one that is not on what I'm going to call ad copy.
Oh, okay.
Wolverine. The Long Night.
What is...
It's Marvel's first podcast. I think it's
really?
the first one. I don't know. But it's Richard Armitage, plays Wolverine. And he's like a loner in Alaska, a la very Wolverine settings. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole cult shenanigans going on.
Would you say Richard Armitage?
Yes.
Oh, from like he's in The Hobbit. He's in, he just did that, he voiced that, I think on that Castlevania show.
Yes.
Yeah, he's gruff and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very Wolverine-y.
Yeah,
but,
I like that dude.
Yeah, definitely worth a listen. So check that out on Stitcher Premium. There's also our favorite, the Threedom.
That's a good one.
Yes, with Scott Aukerman,
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Lapkus, Paul Frederick Thompson.
Oh.
I have no idea if that's what the F stands for.
Why not?
Yes, but it's all available on Stitcher Premium and a whole bunch of back catalogs too, which I found out recently because Jimmy Pardo's podcast, the Never Not Funny, I'm going to say second worst name of podcast after the Alex Cast, their back catalog, which they've been going for 12 years. The whole first chunk of it before they got to Earwolf is on there. So I'm excited to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
So if you want a free month of Stitcher Premium, that's free month. Like a whole, however many days are in a month.
Yeah.
Somewhere above 2 weeks. I'm not a whole hip to the thing. Go to StitcherPremium.com and use our promo code STUFF.
In all caps. I don't know if that matters, but go ahead and do it in all caps.
According to the lady at Stitcher, it does not.
Oh, excellent.
I asked.
I like doing it in all caps just because...
I like doing it in all caps because I feel like we're screaming.
Yeah.
Screaming
Makes you
at a
feel
company,
assertive.
saying, I want this and I want to support John and Alex 8 stuff by screaming
Right.
into the void, give me a free month. You're going to...
As long as they're supporting us.
Yes, StitcherPremium.com. Use the promo code STUFF. Thank you very much. Hello, John.
Hello.
Weißt du, was ich hasse?
Yeah?
Ja. Ich hasse Inglourious Basterds.
9. I don't know.
That was Hey John.
Das kostet 11 Mark.
According to Google's English to German translate, that's John. Do you know what I hate?
Oh yeah. No, okay.
Ich hasse Inglourious Basterds.
Wenn der Führer says, here's the matter, me heil, heil. And in the Führer says not to love the Führer. He's great, so be heil, heil. And in the Führer says...
Yeah, so Inglourious Basterds, spelled in an interesting way.
Yes.
According to Tarantino, he will never admit why he spells it that way because it will break a spell. And I went, oh yeah, I forgot why I hate reading Tarantino interviews.
Yeah.
Because he is an annoying human in interviews.
As a guy, he is the dude at like a movie Q&A that would be like, well, this is more of a comment than a question.
Yes.
Or like ask a question that was designed to illustrate how much film knowledge he has.
What an annoying human. And this has nothing to do with his movies, which I've said this for a while about artists that I enjoy, or don't enjoy for that matter, but I don't want to know about them personally because it can only go wrong.
Yeah.
There's never a time where I'm like, I'm on the fence about this guy's art, but he's great in real life, so I'm gonna like their stuff, you know.
Right.
So the second you open any, it's like when I was a kid, I liked Charles Bukowski as a writer, and then I watched a documentary about him, and I'm like, oh, you're like awful, like you were just a petulant garbage fire, and I want nothing to do with you. Like, oh well, there's that illusion shattered. Same with Kerouac, same with Hemingway. It's like, I need to stop knowing about artists.
On a much less note, I used to listen to in Omaha. I used to listen to KGOR, and the DJ I really liked was named Jack Swanda, and he seemed like a cool guy. And we went to some like Easter egg hunt event that they were putting on, and he just looked like a math teacher. And I was very let down.
Oh, right.
So since then, I've never loved anybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much like Hemingway being abusive.
Yeah, same thing. Looking like a math teacher.
That guy from that flyover state on Kagor.
Same thing.
Okay, what else can we talk about this movie?
Well, I will say, when I first saw this movie, I did not like it.
Really?
Yeah, because I think I was going with bad expectations. And I remember kind of walking away from it going like, oh, I thought the Inglourious Basterds were actually going to be in the movie. And I mean, they are, but I thought it was going to be about them and not about Shoshana's story. I kind of forgot the movies that Quentin Tarantino makes, basically. Coming off of sort of Kill Bill, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I saw it again, I liked it so much more.
I enjoyed it the first time seeing it. I liked it. This is probably my second time seeing it, maybe third, but I liked it significantly less this time because the end was not spoiled for me. So going into it, I had no idea what the end of this film was. I went, no fucking way did he just do that.
Yeah.
Because that's awesome. I mean, we'll get to it later, but like that's a ballsy fucking.
Yeah.
But now that's like worn off, and the joy of how bad Brad Pitt's accent is worn off. So it's like it really does. Like it's I found it laborious to watch this time, and there's parts I really like, but for the most part, I found myself looking at my phone a lot. I was like, yeah, this thing's still fucking on. Like I love I mean, I guess we should start at the beginning. I think it's a brilliant opening scene. I think there's two beautifully shot, tense scenes, and that's the house in France.
Yep.
Why am I saying it like that?
I don't know.
That part and the basement bar, the two like really tense areas, are like wonderful bits of filmmaking. And then I don't really like. I can't think of a single scene with the Bastards that was particularly memorable at all, and I don't really care about anything that happened with the bad guy from The Winter Soldier, Private Zoller.
No, he's the bad guy from Civil War.
Oh yeah, Civil War,
Yeah.
whatever. Same.
See, I
fucking thing.
liked his story a lot more this time because I kind of looked at it from a different angle. But we can talk about that when we get there. I like a lot of this movie, and I think it is a little long, but I don't mind it. I do like Tarantino's always been talky, but a lot of his like post Jackie Brown stuff, or his more recent stuff, I guess I should say. It is extremely talking and extremely more slow paced than is like Pulp Fiction or whatever. But I do enjoy it. I think it's interesting enough, and he's a competent enough filmmaker that it all works for me. Like so much of this just is building to Operation Kino happening.
Yeah.
And that can feel laborious because it is a lot of inaction for a World War II movie.
It's not even like I'm looking for action, which I think would have helped if there was a couple like kind of, I don't know, up-tempo sequences in it. It's that there's a lot of just leisurely pacing in the scenes, and I'm fine with like, but like her putting the letters up on the marquee, the two times we see that, it takes a while, and it's just like him just awkwardly hitting on her, and it's like I just don't enjoy the scene, I guess, or it just feels like it takes forever. Like I don't understand his character motivation at fucking all until he kind of swerves all the way at the end and becomes like full evil.
Yeah,
but like. He doesn't make any sense. The only people I understand in this is the Bastards because they're pretty straightforward, and Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just kind of like this weird, like I don't know. Their motivations are like Shoshana. Why are you talking to him for so long? Like why is this even happening?
Fear. I mean, like he's a Nazi wearing a uniform, and like so it is this like I want you to go away and leave me alone, but at the same time I don't want to do anything that gives me away as being a secret Jew. Like all her interactions with her, I was reading some review that referred to her as like calculatingly flirting with him, which is not the case at all.
But that would have made. I actually think those scenes would have made more sense if she were calculatingly flirting with him. I don't know what the actress is trying to play there. Like it doesn't come across as fearful. It doesn't come across as flirty. It comes across as just
she can't put it out there that she's afraid. This is a person that's like putting it all inside, but is like trying to tolerate this guy. And at the beginning, she's just trying to cast him off as like whatever. And then when in the cafe, when they meet later, she's like, you're in the uniform. I don't give a shit, whatever. And then he ends up being this big famous guy.
Yeah.
And she's still just like, not interested. But then when these two Nazis like generals show up, drag her in front of Goebbels, and like her, like she's being forced to have this movie show at her theater. Like there's not a whole lot there for her, I guess is what I'm saying. Like she's thrust into a lot of things and has to wear a brave face.
That part I got. It's more the initial contact between her and the guy. I don't see anything, and I think it's the actress's fault. I don't think she's all that particularly good in this. There's nothing. She betrays nothing. Like it's an Anakin like wooden performance.
I disagree. Compared to her performance in, let me find the actress real quick. And some of this might just be the script itself. Melanie Laurent. She was in this piece of shit movie called Beginners, that anything other than the Christopher Plummer parts are just crap. And she's so much better in this. Like when she's in her full like French speaking mode. But even like small moments, like when she's done talking to Londa and like she just crumbles like just like that. As soon as he walks out of the frame and she's just lets it all out. I thought she was really good.
I didn't buy that for a second. Like the way she bit the back of her hand, kind of. I didn't like her acting at all. Like she did not. Let me reframe that. Up until just after that spot, actually, I didn't mind her so much when she's at the table with Goals. Mm-hmm. Like she was fine, but I thought that relief moment of her being like, "Holy fuck." I didn't buy it. Like I did the acting.
I loved it.
I liked her with the projectionist, her lover, and like the later scenes where she's like got like a little bit of like fire to her. I thought the actress did a good enough job, but yeah, I don't know. There was something about her, and I very much disliked the guy that played Zoller. I actually think quite a few of their acting performances in this weren't.
See, I completely disagree because I think like in her case, you're a person that's dragged in front of like one of the Nazis, one of your most hated.
Happens to be often.
It happens every day.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what anyone is saying. So like, what's your reaction to that? You know what I mean? Like, you're in a room full of people. Everyone is speaking a different language that you don't understand, but you're trying to be amiable about it. And I thought she did a really good job. Like when they were like horsing around, and she's like, "Hey, all right." I thought she was fine.
Yeah, I didn't. Maybe it's just she didn't have enough to do, or I don't know. I didn't buy her. And also, I'm biased too about how annoyed I am at Goebbels of like what an annoying character.
Goebbels is
not in a way. I need to be clear here because I do make a lot of crass jokes. I mean, the way he's portrayed in this film. Obviously, he's a fucking war.
Right.
Like he's like top 10 monsters that ever existed. So
sure.
let me be very clear when I'm talking about the Goebbels. I'm talking about the slapstick guy that's in this movie, not the historical character, because he's irritating, and I guess that's like Tarantino likes to kind of make genre films like in the old style, so I guess he's trying to make a back before character mattered character.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of this wish fulfillment movie, and he's not going to be this deep, like, complicated man. No, he's a piece of shit.
I guess...
And an irritating...
I guess I'm just kind of tired of it from Tarantino, where if you're going to do, like a pastiche kind of bullshit character, make him either be reviling, like, make him be Christoph Waltz, like where it's like, oh, you're, like, fucking gross.
Yeah.
Like, you're, like, it's like, ooh, you're menacing. Or let me have the ability to laugh at him. This is, like, that perfect middle ground. This is, like, when your uncle gets, like, one drink too much, where he's not full racist, and he hasn't grabbed like a second cousin's butt yet, but like he's just like kind of like like this perspiration on his forehead. It's like,
sure.
Oh, you're really unpleasant to be around at this moment. Like he's that level of family barbecue uncomfortable, and I
don't spend a lot of time with my extended family, so yep, sure. This sounds reasonable.
It does, I assure you.
No, but I think that talking about this language thing makes me think that like very little of this movie, honestly, is in English, and how crazy that is. Having recently, I think just a few months ago, saw William Friedkin's Sorcerer for the first time. This like early '80s remake of Wages of Fear, and it opens with this title card that basically says, "Hey everybody, the first 20 minutes of our movie takes place in other locations, and to stay true to the feel of the whole thing, it's in foreign languages with subtitles. Bear with us, you're gonna hear English." Yeah.
That's funny.
And the fact that like America, like they put it out there and they trusted American audiences to not be dumb enough. And I feel like I like it when shows do that. You can figure it out that they're speaking a foreign language and you can read for a little bit. You'll be okay.
Yeah. I did enjoy on the subtitle for one, ballsy of Tarantino. One of the things I like about this is that he didn't shy away from language use. But I did like, and there's a bit of trivia about it saying this, but I noticed it with the German, is that the subtitles are wrong. Because I speak enough German that I'm like, that's not what they just said. Like, they're like, I mean, I think it's kind of like loosely, and there's parts where like the translations are wrong, where it's like she says we, and the subtitle says we instead of yes.
Yeah.
And I like that because I do like Tarantino as a filmmaker. I just think some of it's like, I think it's like you with Wes Anderson after a certain point where it's like, I fucking get it. Like, yeah, you're twee. There's certain Tarantino-isms where it's like, oh, I fucking, all right. Yeah.
Some of his cutesy turns of phrase, like putting cliches and stuff in the dialogue kind of drive me crazy a
Yeah.
little bit. So often his movies aren't interested in being other than artifice. Like,
Yeah.
think of the last Quentin Tarantino movie you saw that like you actually had like real empathy for the characters and what they were going through, whatever.
It was Dust Till Dawn, that guy that was like, I like big pussy, wet pussy.
Yes.
That guy was like my spirit animal.
Right. So, but since then, but that was with Robert Rodriguez, who brought that heart
of course,
to it.
yeah.
So often it's just like, hey, isn't this cool, everybody? So I think some of that stuff kind of helps to remind you about like how phony this all is. And I can see your tolerance for that,
Yeah.
like being limited. It's not something you're like, yeah, that's, it can get
I think,
old.
I think sometimes it even still works. Like I did enjoy, I think it's just Christoph Waltz being a screen presence. Him using like American slang and wondering if he's using it correctly. Like I think
we have a bingo.
Yeah, I did
that's
enjoy
a bingo.
that. Opening scene is an interesting study.
Mm-hmm.
One, how is that not the guy that played Leon the Professional? It just should be him, whatever his name is. I don't remember the actor's name, but that just like that shot was made. That scene was made.
Jean
for him.
Reno.
Jean Reno. That is totally that should have been Jean Reno. I don't know why it wasn't him, but powerful opening scene, and I really liked it a lot. I think it sets an interesting tone for a film that it doesn't follow up on, and I think that's part of my problem with it. Is that it sets it in this. This is a high-paced, like a high-tension movie with like moral stakes that it's establishing, and that doesn't really follow through. Like at no point does her father essentially being complicit in a family of people being murdered under his, like he still has daughters there,
Right.
and at no point does Shoshana make any reference to like, oh, the fucking pig that sold me out, or like it's just kind of like this. We open with this moral, on one train track is a baby and the other is 5 adults, one of those, which switch do you hit kind of thing. And we never come back to it. And we get a lot of like kind of slapsticky light. Which I just felt like tonally it left me kind of in the air a bit. And then I never really, I don't get my footing a lot in the film.
I guess my read of that first one was less of the moral choice, which the guy totally makes, and that actor was great.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
when you can see him kind of break down.
It's a beautiful
moment.
scene, like,
and just like how it, And this was the first movie of Tarantino's that I remember just kind of being blown away by his ability to do the suspense thing, to like really inflate a scene with suspense and then let it out with like a joke or something and then bring it back. But I feel like the scene was much more about showing what a conniving, ruthless figure Landa was versus that moral thing. It was more just setting up like, here's the villain of the piece. This is what he does versus this man's choice. It freed Shoshana to go out into the world and to be encountered later. But it really, to me, that my read of it was much more focused on Landa.
I think that is, you're correct. That's why the scene's there. It's such an important aspect of the scene that we don't circle back on it, and I don't know. It just seems, I'm not trying to rewrite the film for him, but like I think showing Lando in a less Sophie's Choice kind of style scene where it's like this guy is like it is focused on this moral thing and he's sport, and I don't know. It sets a tone that never gets followed up on except for.
But I disagree because that's how efficient Landa is that he broke that guy down.
Yeah.
Like he made him make that choice. That he wasn't really put into it, but Landon knew from the moment he stepped in there what was going on. Just broke him down to that.
Well, this is a question I have about him as a character. So this brings up the point with Lando. Do you think, given like another situation, he would have resisted Vader, or did he always?
There was like a 10-minute break in between him starting that and finishing that sentence.
Audience, if I may speak to you, that was not going to be my point. I thought of that during the 10-minute break. When he meets Shoshana at the strudel place, he says, I'll have a cappuccino and she'll have a milk.
Yeah.
Does he know who Shoshana is?
I have no idea.
See, this is, and I both like this and don't like it because I think at times his efficiency as an officer is in question. Because essentially he let Hitler get blown up. Like the second that he noticed her foot, he should have went arrest them all, and he would have saved the Third Reich.
Because he's just an evil guy. He's not evil in the service of Hitler. He's just an evil dude. He saw his out.
That's
and
the
it's
way
like
you read it. Okay.
yeah, this is going to happen. So how can I make this work for me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of done doing this. Okay, now how can I make this work in my favor? And so I'm just going to navigate some stuff for me.
I don't disagree with that, Reed. I think that's why I like him. He's like one of the few things I like about the movie. But yeah, offering her milk thing was.
Well, that's kind of what I like about him, because he is so, and the way Christoph Waltz plays him, he's real slippery. Like, it's hard to read. Like, he'll ask you this question that seems rhetorical, but then he expects an answer. And so I really enjoyed that. I thought he did that very, very well. And so I think rather than being some sort of mustache twirling annoyance or something like Goebbels, I think keeping him on that like uneasy footing is what made that character a little bit more effective.
In that opening scene, his description of the rats and squirrels
Right.
is so fucking menacing. And he's just talking about rats and squirrels, like, but if it was in your house, punctuated by pulling out the most ludicrously large pipe that's ever existed. That pipe, just what a brilliant like kind of like release valve on that scene.
Well,
followed up by horrible slaughter, but just pulling at this massive, like, how big is that coat one?
In an interview, I think it was actually on Charlie Rose, Tarantino and Christoph Waltz said that the point of that whole thing, of that pipe, was for Landa to show off that he knows so much about this guy, he knew he smoked a pipe. That, I did not get that read at all. I just got this like, oh, I too smoke a pipe. This giant, ridiculous pipe.
I took it as he was a big Sherlock Holmes fan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying that jokingly.
No, but it
like,
also just adds to to that character. It was just absurd, but I loved it.
Also, an interesting character note, Shoshana runs away. She looks very Tarantino there, covered in blood, young blonde lady. Like, she could be
running away in a shot that's reminiscent of a spaghetti or The Searchers or some sort of Western. Yeah.
And he lines up the shot with his Walther PPK, and then doesn't shoot.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, good job, you got away." Why doesn't he shoot?
Because he's it's like a cat playing with its prey. He's like, I'll get you eventually. This will give me something to do later. Job security.
Chapter 2, Inglourious Basterds.
So here's a question right off the bat that someone brought up. Why is Aldo Rain in this movie? Why not just have like Jew Squadron? You know, like why is Brad Pitt in this movie? Why is Clark Gable heading this up? My guess is, like throwback to that era of filmmaking and the heroes of that time, maybe. But it could have just as easily have been. He
doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, and now don't get me wrong, I like how much he kind of eats scenery and how ridiculous.
Oh, he chews the appropriate amount of scenery, but it is
this thing like if you go like, well, why not just do that? I mean, it's fine. But also, I have a lot of issues with some of the casting in this movie.
Oh yeah, we need to talk a lot about that. And we're about to get into a good start of all the weird casting choices. But Brad Pitt's accent is tremendous. But in one sentence he says, like, when you join up my squad, you take on a debit instead of debt, which is weird because also he's apparently well read and kind of smart, as we learned over the course of the maybe not well read, but he's smart.
Yeah, I was going to say
over the course of the film.
Is he smart or is he savvy?
Who fucking cares?
Because he writes Bastards on his gun, and that's where I think Bastards comes from, is that he's an idiot and that's how he spelled it.
Yeah, and then he goes Nazi scouts. Which I love. Which is weird because it's the same sentence where he mispronounces one word, but I love the way he says Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a... I mean, it's not exactly a beautiful word. It's certainly not a beautiful concept. Right. But Boyd, that's as ugly a pronunciation of a word as you can come up with. Okay, we're not quite introduced to the bastard yet. Because first we meet Hitler in a perfect Hitler. I mean, it is...
Well, he's not made of cake this time, so that's something.
Cake Hitler. It is... I can't... I don't know who that actor... I know who that actor is, but like, oh my God, is it perfect? Like, his over-the-top, just scream... Because it's not the Bruno Gans bunker version of Screaming Hitler. This is an unhinged... Like, that's probably actually just what Hitler was like.
Yeah, well, apparently, like, I had just heard something recently that there's allegations that he was all on amphetamines.
Oh, it's not allegations. No, his personal doctor had him on, I think he was taking like 60 different things a day. It was cocaine. It was amphetamines.
God. Yeah, my man was yipped up.
Yeah, he was thirsty for that for the drugs. Yeah, he was on all sorts of drugs. Well, also, there's a theory that he may have been syphilitic and his brain was being eaten slowly. But boy, do I love the him flipping out. But this is where the introduction of the character goes through Hitler, where he's like, "There is no Baden-Juden, there is no Golem."
Yeah.
Which, that's a good introduction to a character. And I think we needed to get that good introduction out on our show. Because, John, who's that character?
Eli Roth.
Eli Roth. John,
Friend of Quentin Tarantino.
Why?
Friend of Quentin Tarantino. That's all you need to know. That's actually, if I had the chance, and I may have mentioned it on the show before, if I had the chance to have dinner with Quentin Tarantino, that would be my very first question, which I'm sure he would be furious about, because why am I not talking about him? But like, I don't get Eli Roth. Why Eli Roth? What about him what about Cabin Fever made you go, yeah, this is good. I need to have more. I
find Eli Roth charming on when he goes on Doug Loves Movies. I've heard him on other podcasts.
Again, as I said last episode, as a guy, I'm sure he's fine.
I wouldn't even go that far. I just think he's charming on podcasts.
Okay.
His movies, the ones I've seen, not good. I mean, they're not terrible, but
I'm not a fan. And then like, he's not good in this.
But he's also, he's not an actor. That role was offered to Adam fucking Sandler,
which is hilarious.
I don't even, I get Tarantino likes stunt casting.
Yeah.
But what the fuck is happening? Especially in this movie, there would have been Adam Sandler and Mike Myers.
Yeah.
In the same movie, neither of which in a comedic role.
Right. But that would have been, imagine that reveal though. So when the Bear Jew is revealed, it's this whole backstory, flashback about them capturing some Nazis and wanting the Nazis to point out where other Nazis are. And you see this dark tunnel. They're like, well, we're going to have Donnie come and get you, and you just hear this clang in the tunnel you don't see, and eventually steps out Eli Roth. But if that whole big thing just clank, 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 and then Adam Sandler steps out.
Oh my God.
Dabba dabba whoo.
Yeah.
Dabba dabba bear Jew.
Yeah. I believe Jews are better. No, I believe the Nazis are better. Jews are better. Nazis are better.
That would have been hilarious. Because it's also hilarious is the idea that someone from Boston fighting against racism. I enjoyed that.
He's doing a Boston accent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't he talking about New York baseball players?
No, he's talking about Boston.
I thought he was saying New York people.
I don't think he was. Okay.
I don't know enough about baseball.
Neither do I. I just assumed.
Oh, I thought those were Yankee people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so that whole scene though is interesting. Well, that whole chapter, because the way it's structured is you're introduced to the Bastards. You have Aldo Rain giving his whole speech about needing the Nazi scalps. Then you go to Hitler, furious because the Bastards have been doing their job very well. Let's not talk about him. Don't talk about the Bear Jew, whatever. Then you get like, oh, here's the one guy that survived. So he comes in. Then you get a flashback to his story. Within that story, you get this weird flashback to Hugo Stiglitz, one of the members of the German-speaking members of the Bastards, which I guess that actor, he's a German actor, was like, I don't ever want to be filmed wearing a Nazi uniform. And Tarantino was like, what if I had you murder a bunch of Nazis? And he was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a square deal.
Yeah. That just comes out of nowhere, basically. I mean, it sets up later his animosity and his sort of motivations for the later basement scene. Back to the flashback, back to Hitler. Like, it's flashbacks within flashbacks. And I kind of like that. But it's also that whole, you're talking about earlier, the artifice, is so much of this movie is about stories, to not sound like an asshole. But not only do you have, like, the power of cinema and all this stuff, you also have both Hans Landa and Aldo Rain ask someone else, like, what have you heard of us? What do you know about us? And it's all about the power of that myth or whatever, affecting the people around them. And even just this movie in some ways is Nation's Pride. That it is just like, what if we made a movie where American soldiers just murdered Hitler and hooray for America?
Yeah.
Which, okay, I'll save that.
Well, okay, let's get to, so Hugo Stiglitz. That doesn't pay off for this reason. This movie is Infinity War. There's too many characters and you don't get, like, there's just, and there's the guy that's mad at the other guy. Like, so Hugo Stiglitz should have been a big deal, but it doesn't pay off. It just, at one point, he's slightly angry in a bar, but that's not even the thing that sets that scene off.
Yeah.
He did literally nothing in the movie. Same as Aldo Rain. His character, if erased in the snap by Thanos being Hitler, the movie would have gone the exact same way. Stiglitz just got mad at a bar, but he didn't start a fight.
Movie would not have gone the same way.
How? What would have been different?
Aldo Rain, the whole, what's her name? I want to say Van Hammersley, but that's a Mr. Show character.
Yeah. Hammersmark.
Yeah. His interaction with her and basically torturing her to get information. That was a whole thing he did.
But what I'm saying is there was 2 other people in the room. He doesn't need to be there. Fine, I'll give him that. Then take away one of the other guys.
Right? Yeah,
it's
fair.
Way too many people. Like, why is Hawkeye here?
Well, it's also some of the Inglourious Basterds are character actors that I like. I should
Sam
probably look
Levine's
up their
in
name. Yeah, Sam Levine.
the Man Levine.
I love Sam
Wolverine.
Levine. Yeah, but you're like, oh, cool, and you don't see him at all. I'm not a big BJ Novak fan. Something about him I don't find good. Like he was on The Office, and he's like, maybe I'm just thinking about
I only know him from The Office, which I found him slightly irritating. But I'm not enamored with The Office.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a fine show, and maybe it's just I'm thinking about his character in that. But I'm like, why aren't you Sam Levine? Damn it.
Yeah.
Sam Levine is great.
Well, there's a lot of this movie had too much stuff in it, and nothing really pays off. So the Stieglitz.
So I don't know that I go that far. I understand your Hugo Stieglitz thing. Yeah. I think it needed to set up, or at least it wanted to set up, that they had a German guy on the inside, and there were Germans that hated Nazis too. I mean, it's ham-fisted. Like all the Samuel Jackson stuff seems superfluous. I enjoy it, but it's at best superfluous.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm not infuriated by that is, one, it enforces this is just the Infinity War, but then 2, he's just got a nice voice, so it's like, it's nice to hear Sam Jackson. Okay, so I'm not happy with how many characters there are in the movie.
I will say this, it definitely reads a little bit more like a book when you get to Act 3, because you have like, okay, here's Shoshana at the beginning. Here's the Bastards. And then, it's more act. Here's Shoshana, here's the Bastards. Here's Shoshana again dealing with Frederick Zoller. And then you're like, not going to deal with Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
Who's this? But I still think that all pays off. That's one of my favorite scenes, even though I hate watching it.
That's what saves this movie for me. I think the opening and the entire bit at the bar are saving graces. If they were altered or not in, I would dislike this movie.
See, it's funny because
not intensely, but
right.
This would just be a forgettable thing.
It's funny because I was saying before, like when I first saw this movie, I was angry that the Bastards weren't in it more, and now they're like I like everything around them. Like I kind of care about them the least amount.
Well, it would be nice if they were in it more. Like, given that if we could work under the assumption that the Bastards have interesting characters and are people that we would like to hang out with, which we weren't around them enough to know that. Or if they had camaraderie, I think I would have liked to have seen more of that with them.
Yeah, I mean, they're psychopaths, though. I mean, as much as I'm all for punching Nazis, like, they're scalping Nazis and doing all these, like, fucking awful things.
Nazis.
I'm okay with not spending the entire movie doing that, because I feel like...
I wouldn't mind if they were actual characters. We could have... Like, maybe one of them has a slight amount of doubt. Like, the skittish guy that's there.
Oh,
like
you absolutely can't have any doubt in this movie. I mean, because it's not even rah-rah America. It's just fuck you Nazis.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, so much of it is because the movie is about, like any Tarantino movie, is about movies.
Yeah, and feet.
That's kind of ancillary to what he's trying to do. But I do like, so the getting into Act 3, which is the Shoshana Zoller bit, is that I remember seeing it the first time. I remember it being this weird, kind of almost awkward meet cute, where you're kind of reminded later that this guy's a Nazi. But this time around,
no.
Like this time around, I was much more like, no, this guy just fucking sucks. And he's charming. He's a charming enough guy, but like, he won't take fucking no for an answer.
Yeah.
And the whole scene where like, then he takes her to meet Goebbels.
Gerbils.
And just the whole scene when Landa shows up and you just see her and he and Zoller are having the whole conversation. You just are seeing her react. She has no idea what's going on other than that he's shown up and they're talking in German above her. Because I think this movie does a pretty good job of forcing your point of view by like stopping doing subtitles sometimes. Like there are scenes where people are talking.
Oh yeah, like where his fans come out and there's no subtitles. They're just they're like, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because you're now in her point of view. Like I have no idea what this is. But even though you're still seeing what they're saying, you're watching her reaction.
Yeah.
And I liked that counterpoint. Because even though like she's not necessarily in danger, but still Hans Landa isn't. You know what I mean? Like you need to know that Hans Landa isn't there specifically to get her necessarily, but it still is dicey. You're not real sure.
Yeah.
And much like Django Unchained, this movie has a lot of like weird food photography. Not a lot, but it's got weird food photography where it's like with the strudel. All of a sudden there's these close-up loving shots, much like in Django Unchained when he orders the beer and you get these very nicely shot things of him like moving the foam off the top of the beer. I don't know why. I don't know if Tarantino, his horniness is just turned into I like food.
Well, here's a question for you. And now, this is coming from someone that my family's actual background, our old last name was Bullenbacher. a very German last name. The fuck is strudel?
It's a dessert.
Thank you. I picked up on that, John.
Yep.
But
You're
that's like saying in England they call all desserts pudding. Saying, oh, what pudding is that? It's pudding. No, I mean, like, what is strudel? It looked like some kind of bready, crispy. Like, what the fuck is it?
Yeah, it's that. It's a pastry with stuff inside.
Is there
of it.
stuff in it?
Yeah. You never had a breakfast strudel?
No, I've never had anything.
I took food science at Iowa State from a guy who invented the strawberry flavor of Pillsbury
For real?
toasted strudel. Yeah.
No, I've never had a strudel before. I don't know what a strudel
They're good.
is.
They're just a
Yeah.
fancy ass pastry.
I mean, it doesn't matter for the movie, but
Yeah.
it just there was a whole scene about strudel. I'm like, the fuck. All I'm doing is looking at it. I'm like, is there stuff in there?
I've
Is it
not
just like
had
a
I've not
crispy-
had a strudel with cream on it, but
Yeah.
I've had toaster strudel.
I mean, yeah, nowadays, I mean, the cream comes right on it. You know,
Who's got time?
it probably comes in a little packet. You know,
But I do again like a great just tense scene. It kind of bums me out that Christoph Waltz hasn't been able to. He's great in Django, but he hasn't been able to sort of maintain that level. Like, I mean, actors got to work, actors got to be in whatever. But like, he was not great in Spectre. That whole movie fucking.
I heard he
sucks,
was good
but-
in that. I don't know the I didn't see it. The one with the cover art. It's the side of his head. It's some kind of brain movie.
Zero Theorem.
Zero Theorem. So this is the Mike Myers scene.
Yes. Now this scene is weird.
You think?
Yeah.
The Winston Churchill Winnie sitting in the background not saying anything while Mike fucking Myers is why the I kind of hate Tarantino a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not this angry. I just how could I'm imagining the world in which Adam Sandler was there earlier and then Mike Myers it's just is Hitler played by Garth? Like what
Oh man. What's interesting about this scene, and this is something that actually one of the things I like about Tarantino. I've talked before about movies like adding textual references that if you get them, it deepens the thing, but if you don't, it's fine. And I don't know that this is necessarily that, but at the same time, you have the scene where Michael Fassbender, who's like German originally, but then was raised in England, playing an English guy to a guy that was Canadian doing an English accent. And the guy that's playing Winston Churchill was like a British World War II, like was in a ton of British World War II movies, who was Austrian born and then went to England.
Yeah.
So this weird like mishmash of stuff happening. And there's so much like in this movie where so many things mask off, where like there's a certain amount of spy elements to it, where it's you're revealed to be this, you're revealed to be this. Hans Landa revealed to be just a conniving guy rather than a super Nazi. That was kind of a fun little interplay.
Yeah.
If you know it. If not, yeah, whatever. It's a weird scene. But I do like, I was really enamored with the Britishness or the faux Britishness of the whole thing, the whole like pip pip.
I liked Fassbender version of that. I think he played it well, but Mike Myers in there.
I just don't like Mike Myers.
Yeah, that's one for that. Yeah. Like I suppose I liked Wayne's World when I was 11.
I still think the first Austin Powers movies is probably pretty good, but just like his love of British and Scottish things irritates me.
Yeah, so. That's exactly. It feels fan servicey to him.
Yeah,
enough.
Yeah.
And then when he's like showing the maps and he's like, "Oh, I like to do drawings," I thought that was like that's a little on the nose.
Well,
Tarantino.
One of the things people complain about Quentin Tarantino is that he wants to entertain himself first and the audience second. And as a guy with a podcast, let me tell you that rules. Yeah, and I support that 100%.
I'm actually fine with that. It's just sometimes his and I, our opinions on pop culture defer. Like, so it's just the Mike Myers thing is brutal because I like stunt casting. I think it works really well, and I think he does it with a deft hand. It just, in that case, it was so... This works in a world where Mike Myers is a good actor. And maybe he can be, but he's never been one.
Well,
And it's... That scene was very sore thummy, which sucks because I think Michael Fassbender is
fantastic.
He's and in like everything, he's a really good, like he's great. Even he's good as fucking Magneto in those shitty X-Men movies,
or like in the shitty Prometheus movies.
Yeah, where he plays Robot Boy. Like he's fucking great in those. Well, great's a stretch, but he's as good as you could have been playing Robot Boy in that shitty movie.
My concern is that I was not sure whether or not anyone in that scene was horny, or if someone was making someone else horny, and there was no way to know. There was no one asking those questions.
What I was bothered by was that there was a globe right there, and Mike Myers' character wasn't naked with the globe in front of it, covering his private parts only.
But, so we're introduced to Archie Hillcox, who, and again, like, I was a film critic, because of course you were, before you were in the army. And he has to go be go undercover.
I also, this is so, sorry, the Tarantino-ness of this scene is, what do you know about filmmaking in the Third Reich? Oh, filmmaking in the Third Reich, I don't know much, but I do know.
Yeah.
And
Here's
just
a
rattles
comment,
off.
yeah.
And that is such a fucking, that's exactly who Tarantino is and wants to be.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know much, but let me rattle off a 15
And
minute.
I think that's why he does get a lot of hate from some communities, because he is that guy and those guys love him. Because those guys want, like, we could spend this whole entire hour just going through, and here's a reference to this, and here's a reference to this, and here's a reference to this. And some of that stuff is cool and great, but some of it is just there. You know what I mean? And being able to recognize that doesn't make you that interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you can use that to tell a story, and I do think one of the things I like about Tarantino for being a sort of, is it pastiche? I don't know how to say it.
Pastiche is the way and weirdly enough, I said that earlier in this episode.
Oh yeah, you totally did. Is that I do think he brings enough of his own spin on things that he's able to kind of like, I liked this and I'm going to do it, but I'm going to like make it my way. I think he does that pretty well. But I think just being able to recognize like, oh, that's from City on Fire, that's from this, isn't like good, like, hey, way to do that, but like it's like Family Guy, like just making the reference isn't enough. You need to like contextualize it, make it a part of a thing. Just being able to recognize that isn't interesting, but that's why people like Tarantino, I think, in a lot of ways, because it gives them a checklist to like.
Well, also I think the specificity of it has gone downhill, where he used to be a broadly referential maker.
Yeah.
And like this movie seems to be, and I've never been a big World War II movie person, but like I see where like, oh, it sticks out like a sore thumb that this is a reference to a film. And I don't know that movie, and that doesn't really matter, I think. But 12 years before this, Tarantino would have made a reference to the genre of World War II films. This is making reference to specific ones. It's almost turning into like a Zucker Brothers thing. It's fine for the uber nerds, but I think you're over specifying it and it becoming like it's like early Wes Anderson. It's fine if you don't like, if you only listen, like if you own a CD player or listen to music on MP3s, you are allowed to like Wes Anderson. But now you have to only listen to music on Victrolas in order to watch his movies, where it's become this kind of over specificity hipster thing. This is over specificity movie nerd. Like if you didn't dream about working in a video shop growing up, you are no longer allowed to watch Quentin Tarantino movies.
Well, it's funny because my reference, you're talking about loving the Britishness of it. My reference for that is a Monty Python sketch making fun of those kind of movies. Of like Biggles, I think was the character's name. That was this sort of like pip guy. Or even like, I think Archer did a whole like bit about that. Where it's like, I have no idea what movies you're actually referencing. I just know that this is an idea. Yeah. And that's why I'm getting that. So while I understand what you're saying, I'm sure there are specific references in this stuff that I have no idea. Yeah, I bet. But in this particular case, not that this forgives that scene, because that scene is a little long-winded and cumbersome. To get us to the next thing, when you could have just had Samuel L. Jackson do it, apparently. But it was just like me clapping my hands that like, I kind of get this.
Yes. All right. Speaking of not that, let's get to the bar. Because
the best scene.
Yeah, let's just get to like the good thing.
So they meet von Hammersley. I'm not gonna not call it that. Hammersmark.
Yeah, Fräulein Hammersmark.
Yeah, and I love that whole thing. So it's introduced. He meets up with the Basterds, and Aldo Rain is like, "You didn't tell us this meeting was in a basement. Like that sucks. Being in a basement is not a good tactical position." And
hey, John.
What?
Get it? There's a famous movie.
I'm not getting it.
I can't tell if you're joking.
Fight Club?
Yeah. Famously, the entire point of that movie is fighting in a basement.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was yeah. Oh,
no. Okay, no, because you're saying fighting. I'm thinking of more of using the word tactical. Oh, that's where I'm getting confused.
No. That entire speech was. He was in a movie called Fight Club, and they fought in basements.
Oh, see, I didn't.
That's all. I literally just read that as Tarantino writing it in crayon, holding it like a 3-year-old, going, "He was basement fighter, ha ha, basement fighter."
Oh, see, I did not even get that, because I that's a different kind of fighting to me.
Oh boy, no, that was up there.
I completely see what you're saying.
Like when Chris O'Donnell picked up the piece of rusted metal and went, "Holy rusted metal, Batman!" Like it was like that level of like, nah.
Did not even pick up on that. But so they go down there just expecting to meet her, and it's fine. Turns out some damn Nazi just had a baby, and a bunch of Nazis are down there celebrating. And she's playing along. Like she's trying to.
She is the only competent person in this movie.
She, like, interestingly enough, so she's originally a German actress, but like Tarantino knew of her through her American acting, and at first wasn't sure if she could do a German accent or like speak German believably.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Considering like the scene that this is.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I actually speak German.
Yeah, that's like my that's the language I would raised. And
which, as we get to this scene, it should be brought up, I mentioned this earlier, that talk about stunt casting, initially he was considering Simon Pegg for the Michael Fassbender role.
Yeah, so we texted about this earlier. I love Michael Fassbender. I think he did a great job in this. However, I don't think he did a great job for this movie in this. I think Michael Fassbender's role is, like, we've talked about this a lot in shitty movies where somebody is on the right tonal path of being in a shitty movie where they're over the top in the right way. I think Michael Fassbender is putting in an articulate, subtle role that's meant for a real movie, like about World War II, where this is more akin to a Zucker Brothers style, which is why I thought the Simon Pegg thing actually would have been really interesting, because I think that would have fit better of the...
Yeah,
I think he's a good straight actor, but he's not so good, and I think that actually would have fit tonally.
On a macro level, I agree with you, but I think for this scene to work as well as it does, I think that would lessen that if it was Simon Pegg. I think as an honest man, like if you're an honest member that's familiar with Simon Pegg at all, and kind of has it in your head, the kind of roles he played, much in the same way that you're like Mike Myers.
Yeah.
I think having an actor play like a more serious, nuanced role in this, probably the most serious scene in the entire movie, where like I think you needed that for this scene in order for it to work well, because the tension has to be just so.
But it doesn't. See, so I think the character is supposed to be a flippant wannabe actor, and that's why he gets caught, because he's like, his accent's chunky and awful. It's almost like talking about La La Land, where the point is that they're these vapid surface level characters. Mm-hmm. And I think Michael Fassbender has such charisma and such depth that like it doesn't, like, the character as it's supposed to be doesn't read. You read it as like a competent spy.
Yeah, but I think like that rides that line, because people are like, your accent's fucking weird, but you seem like the part. And I just feel like Simon Pegg would wear that on his sleeve a bit more. Whereas Michael Fassbender plays a little bit closer. I mean, that's just my take on it. I completely see where you're coming from.
Also, one scene back. So you speak German, do you? It's like a Katzenjammer kid.
Yes.
I just, lovely line.
Yeah.
Way to go, Tarantino. You're about the only person that could write that, but way to go.
But yeah, so they're down there, and they show up, and they're disguised. Him and two of the German bastards, are wearing SS uniforms. And all these guys saluting them because they're just servicemen, basically.
Yeah, whatever.
So she joins them to talk to them. And it is like, this is like a cringe, this is like Curb Your Enthusiasm, cringe comedy kind of thing, where I hate watching this.
Yeah, it's
but
brutal.
It's so good.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because it is just, you know what's at stake, and the soldiers keep bothering them. This one drunk guy comes over and keeps talking to them, and it's just like, oh, everyone shut up and just get out of there. And it just never happens. And then this officer shows up. And he's got Hellstrom, I think is actually the guy's name, which is pretty great.
Yeah. No, he's got a very like fanfic
Nazi von
name.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
He's been hiding in the back this whole time, and he comes out and wants to talk to them. And because he's an officer, they can't just shrug him off. And that is where the real like push and pull of this scene.
Oh, it's so good,
it's great. And the actors, I think, do very well of like, because they don't want to be too suspicious, but they kind of want to fob this guy off, but he's not into it. The whole thing really gets set off by Michael Fassbender's questionable accent, which he plays off as some provincial village thing. But he gets found out later when he throws up a 3 with his hand the wrong way. That apparently, like the Germans do thumb, forefinger, middle finger.
Yeah, Einstein that
I guess to this day, Michael Fassbender was saying that people still come up to him and do that. Like,
really?
Show him the correct way. And he's like, yeah, I'm German. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Fans are terrible.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful scene. Him getting found out is beautiful. And then going back to Tarantino being silly, him being like, well, old chap, I've had my gun pointed at your testicles ever since you sat down.
Yeah.
And just in that aristocratic English, him saying specifically, I've got my gun pointed at your testicles, is so it's such a brilliant kind of, it's not a tension reliever, but it's like it does kind of like release the valve a little bit, and then just full out brutal, shoot gore bonanza.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's a Tarantino movie. You got to have a Mexican standoff at some point.
Yeah.
They even like specifically
Oh no,
mention Mexican
I
standoff.
love the conversation, but defining what is or is not a Mexican standoff is very nice.
But I do feel like there was a little bit of a release valve of like, yeah, I know you guys are here to see the stuff that I normally do. Here's this.
Yeah.
But done more artfully than perhaps he usually does.
No, I felt bad when the guy that just had a kid, when he got shot by von Hammersmark or whatever. Oh man, I felt bad for that dude because he didn't do anything. He was like in the shitter.
Nazi.
Yeah, I know, but he's a Nazi with a kid. Come
still
on,
a
he's like a
Nazi.
lovable Nazi. He's like
No Nazi.
it's like a dog.
A
in
Nazi?
movie,
Yes, he's a Nazi.
Yeah, like a dog in a movie where it was like everybody
Where
likes
the
dogs.
dog is a Nazi.
Yeah, I think it's like the fourth of the Air Bud movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You will not replace us.
Luftbud.
Yeah, still a Nazi.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Well, Whitmer. We also missed, speaking of running, the earlier scene, and I just the brutal fast twitch muscle fiber bit of like Goebbels, where he's like, the only reason that Americans are doing so well in sports is because of their Negro slave blood.
Oh, yeah,
It is such a beautiful, and it is because it's the one movie he didn't use it. That was Tarantino using the N-word.
I was going to say, like, this is. I was thinking about that. I'm like, this is the only time I think Tarantino has just not.
Yeah,
not
and,
done
the
N-word.
reason he didn't do it is because he had a whole spot about how, the Negro, they're the athletic type.
Yeah.
Like, and I know he's not saying it,
Yeah.
but it is like every movie he needs
I gotta get this in there.
Yeah. So during the shootout, Fräulein von Hammersmark gets shot in the leg. Mm-hmm. They have the whole Mexican standoff thing, so they bring her to a veterinarian's office to get the wound taken care of. And it is Aldo Rain, the Bear Jew, and other guy.
Uh-huh.
And Aldo puts his finger in the bullet hole to make her talk about what happened and what thing. And I think it's a nice little scene. But yeah, the plan is revealed that they're going to go to the premiere because, I speak a little Italian, which this is so stupid, but I could not love it more. Because one,
it's great.
I'm very attracted to Brad Pitt.
Oh, he's a
He
handsome
is,
guy.
Even
I mean,
even like he's getting up there in the years, but motherfucker, that is a goddamn good looking man.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And I hate his accent of this, but it's so perfect when that accent goes, yeah, we speak some Italian.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I also love the third guy goes, I don't speak any Italian. See, I told you were in third place.
Yeah.
Like that. Oh, God. And this
all you gotta do is shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Why don't you start now?
now the movie's won me back over again.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole, and again, like this leads to my whole thing where the American, this is our version of nation's pride or whatever that.
Yeah.
Because like Brad Pitt's torturing a woman, but you're like, yeah, but it's to get the Nazis.
But he's torturing a German woman.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's acceptable. It's like, and with a Southern accent, you're like, oh, he's George W. Bush, but that's fine.
Yeah. I read an article before the show, and I'm not going to bring it up too much, but there was a meta critique of the film of rewatching Inglourious Basterds under the Trump administration. And I went, oh boy, you guys are trying way too fucking
that's
hard.
like, okay, yeah. Got to get them clicks.
Okay, I guess we're just about at the end.
We're at the Operation Kino going into effect, which is basically.
Oh, John, by the way.
Yeah.
You know that name means?
Yeah, it's German for Phil.
No, it's because it's like a lottery. It's like Kino.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because you're like
your number's up.
You're rolling.
Hitler.
You're rolling the dice, like
right.
Kino.
So the Bastards have this plan because Fancy Pants, what's his name, Zoller, got the movie shifted to Shoshana's Theater because he's awful.
Well, I guess we should. His whole character arc is he's just thirsty for Shoshana.
He's just thirsty for Shoshana,
that's just
and
what
like
he's going
just
for.
trying to flex.
Okay, that's what's
crazy.
happening.
Yeah.
I want there to be more, but that's just what that guy is.
Yeah,
He's
that guy's just a piece of
some
shit.
dumb German
Yeah.
guy with a boner. Okay, cool.
And so the Bastards' whole plan is to blow it up, not knowing that Shoshana's whole plan is to blow it up using a film.
Oh, which by the way, what a slow overhand jerk off from Quentin Tarantino to get to talk about the old style of film.
Well,
and how,
just yeah. I mean, again, like just okay, like all those Samuel L. Jackson scenes are completely
but
when
I
he's
mean,
it becomes a documentary.
Yeah,
about,
just
like, how
the
film
old
works.
the old nitrate film of just that is so Tarantino. Just like he's like I didn't even have to look this up. I just knew it off the top of my head. Yeah.
Just letting you guys know.
The old type deal.
So here's a question I have: do you think in their initial plan that Shoshana and the other guy were going to try to escape?
I think that was the idea.
Okay.
So I think that's why he was behind the stage.
Right, but like there's no indication that he leaves. He just sets the thing ablaze, and that's the last you see of him.
That's true.
Yeah, and like what happens with her and Zoller, like I don't know if her plan was to like we're gonna get out of here, but they were also acting like this is it, like suicide mission for us too, which didn't make any sense to me because you could probably get away with that without.
No, there was a lot of that felt rushed and not character motivated. I mean, I get it, there's character motivation, but like the needing to die during it, it's like you could spend like 2 more minutes figuring
Yeah,
this
because
out.
I don't think her plan was to die doing it, but I'm also not entirely sure.
No, it wasn't clear, but I think that was what they were leaning towards. But it's problematic that she did, like, her not getting away. Like, she would have to lock the door behind her on the way out for them to be trapped.
Not necessarily because she's in the projection booth. Like, they lock doors after Zoller's gone up there.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
I do like, so yeah, all the Nazis are there to see this movie. And
Oh, yeah, by the way, we forgot to mention Hitler showing up.
Hitler
made
showing
out of
up.
cake.
And I do like, and this movie does
Do
some.
you think anybody understands our cake Hitler reference?
If they're not, they should listen to Order of the Black Eagle. But there's a bit where when they show up, Hans Landa knows that like von Hammersmark was somehow involved in whatever went down in that basement because she had signed a napkin for the dad, and so he's already like, and she shows up with a cast, and he's has this missing shoe that was down there as well. So he already is like, well, something's going on here, and the way he plays that out is so great. Like he's such a dick. She's like mountain climbing, and he's like does this like Def Comedy Jam laugh.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
taken aback by my own laughter kind of thing.
What a weird spot, though, because this is, so I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, but he notices, he gets that she's a traitor. Mm-hmm. So at this moment, he decides, I'm taking down the Third Reich. Because he knows Hitler's there, he knows that all the top officials are there. This doesn't make a lot of sense plot-wise.
I think what happens is that he's angry at her for being a traitor, and like he's also just a psychopathic monster. Like there's no getting around that he's just a monster. And so he murders her, chokes her to death. Like there's not even like a big explanation or some big like speech about it. He just, as soon as he figures out it's her, just gets her. And then kind of figures out, well, those guys are already in there with the bomb. I don't know. I don't want to get too much in the mind of a Nazi, but it does seem like he's kind of like, okay, well, then their numbers could be up and I could work this to my advantage and just retire. Or I could just keep doing this ad infinitum, and whether or not we win the war. But I do kind of like that change, just how maniacal he is in terms of, instead of being like, seeming like an agent for the Reich, being like, no, I'm just a piece of shit and I like doing this and I want to be done doing, like where like when they talk about him being the Jew hunter, he's like, oh, it's a gross nickname. Where at the beginning he was like, I love it. Yeah. It's me.
No, I mean, it does make sense. Here's a spot we need to talk about and discussed earlier, assuming it makes the final edit, of not liking to know about your artists. Mm-hmm. The scene where he chokes, that's Tarantino's hands. Yep. So Tarantino, who ostensibly isn't an actor. I mean, he's been in some stuff, Golden Girls most notably. Mm-hmm. Got in front of the camera, just his hands, to choke out a woman. Yep. That same woman who her feet were on film earlier.
Yeah.
Let's just leave that there.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's the whole backstory of Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, where Sam Raimi loves to just hurt Bruce Campbell. But boy, is that an entirely different thing than what's happening here.
This is, I mean, all right, let's just put it on the table. Do you think he had an erection while he was filming that scene?
I don't think he never has an erection.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Good point.
But yeah, it was more so. He's like Ichi the Killer in that way.
Yes.
But yeah, but that bit where they...
You say things. I don't know what's happening now.
Where before he murders him, when Christoph Waltz calls them on their Italian, and Brad Pitt keeps having to say Gorlami a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Like you could tell, like that Christoph, Lond or whatever, like knows this is a whole thing, but just is really enjoying making them, go through the whole. And I hate to be on the side of Nazis, but I enjoyed that bit.
Since when?
Since we're on tape.
Yeah, my mistake. Sorry. Let me just take this hat off.
But yeah, so it's revealed that the two remaining bastards have dynamite on their legs and a time bomb.
Again,
and so did Brad Pitt
shitty
too.
plan.
Yeah.
You just leave it
I mean,
under a
like
chair.
they knew, they were like, we're screwed. Like we don't.
Yeah, but no, but they do. You just leave it under a chair, like the chair you're sitting in. It's a timer.
Yeah, they could have, but I mean, also because it was
No,
Eli Roth, I'm fine with him.
Yeah, I this is the problem of like some of the writing in this film where he just goes, and then that happened.
Well, but it's also, you one could argue, I suppose, that Eli Roth's being super excited at finding guys with machine guns and Hitler, and he goes back inside to get gets the other guy's attention. That maybe that part of the plan they forgot to just leave it under there. And then we can just shoot Nazis.
Yeah, anyway.
I don't know.
So Emmanuel and A.K.A. Shoshana, she sees Zoller goes into the protection booth, and this is the time where she psychs him out with sexy time. She's like, lock the door behind you. He turns to lock the door. She shoots his ass like 4 times. However, not enough to make him dead.
Nope.
Because she sees him on screen. Turns out he's a good actor, and just, I'm affected by your on-screen performance. I shall go over and tend to you. He spins him over. Walter Pipike. Kapow. Multiple kapows.
Yeah.
She dead as fuck.
Yeah.
She dead. He no longer thirsty. She dead.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
And this is during the whole Metropolis, her giant head on the screen.
Yeah,
like, I am the face of Jewish resistance.
Yeah, she has filmed herself. Part of the whole plan is filming this close-up of her talking about how the Germans are all going to die at the hands of a Jew, and it's her. And meanwhile, her love is in the back lighting all that film on fire. And I do like that it was in English because it's been pretty established she doesn't know German, and that speaking French probably doesn't mean a whole lot to these Germans. So let's do it in English.
Yeah,
I like that little touch.
Everybody's locked in, and this is the big scene. They get their one-shot handguns, mitten guns, which are awesome.
Yeah, is that a real thing?
I don't know, but
because before that happens. That's when he goes to get the gun, where they run and they punch a guy, and like there's a lever that also fires a bullet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like
that was so great.
Those are the coolest inventions ever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. And then this is the scene. So I saw this in the theater. It's spelled R-E because, I'm like that. And I did not know the ending of this film. I did. So I'm expecting, it's a World War II movie. You kind of know the broad strokes of what happens.
Yeah.
So when Eli Roth and other guy walk into the opera box and then just blast the shit out of Hitler with machine guns. And like to an extent where his face is exploding. He looks like he's made of cake. Like it just I remember just laughing in the theater. Like, I cannot fucking believe I just saw that.
It's hard not to get excited about that.
Because it's now that the movie's been made, I think like the edge has been dulled on this, but like how ballsy is it? You make a World War II movie and then just decide without fanfare to kill Hitler. And it's not even a plot point.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Well, I mean, it's a plot point to get people there, but like, it's not like, but we got him. It's more just like, we're killing him. And then here's Hitler too.
Just
Fuck
Hitler
that guy.
happened to have been there. Fan-fucking-tastic.
Well, there were people in this movie came out that were very upset about the morality of this whole thing because it made light of World War II. And I'm like, he fucking killed Hitler.
You killed Hitler.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So they kill Hitler. I guess we missed, Christoph Waltz was caught the Basterds.
Yeah. Because he figured out he got Aldo Rain, but then he just basically.
So he made a deal with Home Office
with General Harvey Keitel.
Yeah. So, but this is another weird plot point. He's going to get a house and blah, 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 blah. And then
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Of course, they cross the line, and then it's like Aldo Rain shoots
Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, you're gonna act like prisoners to them, then you're gonna cross to our side of the line,
and then
they're gonna act like prisoners to you.
And during the switch off, Aldo shoots his secretary or whatever, and then he does the speech of, well, you're going to take off your uniform, so basically you're going to carve it in your head.
Yeah.
Fine, except you already because it's like, oh, I'm just going to get chewed out a bit. Which funny line. I can deal with a chewing out.
Yeah, like, and I have used that in my own head to justify things since, where it's like, I'm gonna get chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
Yeah, but I mean, you could just shoot him too. It's not like what's he gonna offer now?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's still like,
he made a verbal agreement on the phone to some guy.
Yeah, I don't know, but like their whole thing is they generally leave one Nazi alive with that mark.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
leave one alive. Cool enough.
Yeah.
And that is a cringy scene where you see the
it's
close-up
so tough. When you see like the whole head like separating.
Yeah,
like, very very well done, but very upsetting.
Oh yeah, very upsetting. And then the line, this is his masterpiece.
I think this is gonna be my masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I get it, Quentin Tarantino.
And then
he apparently wrote the script over a course of 10 years, but like kind of was done with it, but then like wasn't sure, and so went and made the Kill Bill movies, and then came back to this. And it's amazing, like that part of Landa, that he had to speak Italian, French, German, English, like all pretty flawlessly, and that he found a guy to do that, and then not just that could do it, but was also just a really good actor.
Yeah, I would have, and unfortunately, it would have lost Christoph Waltz for it, but I think I would have liked this movie better directed by a pre-Kill Bill Tarantino.
Like what about it? Like, why?
I think he fell too much into his I like tropes so much stuff. I think he would have made a.
Oh, I don't know. I think he was always there.
No, he was not this deep though.
I actually think his filmmaking got better. I actually think his filmmaking got better in that interim. I think pre-Kill Bill it would have been a lot more raw.
Maybe that's
in some
what
regards,
I want.
but maybe that would have been a bad thing. But I do think the tension wouldn't have been as good. Like
but I think the overall script would have been better too, because I think this seems like something that was overwritten.
Well,
again,
you could say that about any of his stuff, though. I mean,
no, but I mean not in a good way. Like that's what I'm saying. Like in Infinity War way, where it's like there's too much for what it's like. It's just it tried to do too much, and it fell kind of. It's just sitting in this like kind of like. Yeah, that was a movie.
Rather than trying to be like one type of World War II film, it was all types of World War II films.
Yeah, and it was just going for everything and like having every kind of character instead of, like that's like The Great Escape. Like the reason that movie works is because like the four main characters and their ins and outs.
And The Escape is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it's something I wouldn't say great, but
Yeah, I still like it. I wasn't sure like
I liked it.
As far as like in the Tarantino oeuvre or whatever, it's slightly above middle of the pack probably for me. It's not my favorite, but I do enjoy it.
I mean it's fine. I expect better from you, young man. Like
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
From Tarantino. I think he's a talented director, and I think he's more importantly, I think he's a talented writer.
Yeah.
And I just think this could have been better, and that's I think it's what isn't there that kind of annoys me. Like that he put even like this should have been like how Hateful Eight got recut into like a mini series.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, and I'm real skeptical
I don't think
about it.
But like this movie feels like this should have been a 4-hour movie or a better written movie at 2.5. Like it just wasn't enough while being too much. So it was just like I didn't have enough of anything other than the fact that Christoph Waltz fucking rules.
Was great. Yeah.
So John, next episode, celebrating 2 years in like 4 weeks.
Absolutely. The silver anniversary.
Yeah, no, I think it's neodymium. I don't know. I couldn't think.
Is that what Diddy was in the Matrix?
No, it's a kind of rare earth element.
Oh, okay.
What are you trying to figure out the unexpected virtues of ignorance?
Damn, I'm so angry I set that up so well.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, next week we're going to be watching Birdman.
Oh, damn.
The Michael Keaton movie that was acclaimed across the board. Except for one of my friends that really hates it, that turns out tonight wasn't John.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I ended up seeing it a couple of times, actually.
Oh yeah, it totally wasn't you. I don't. Somebody in my life, and there's not that many of them that I know in real life, fucking hates this movie, and I'm really excited to see it because I haven't seen it. I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's been a little. I mean, obviously, it's been a little bit since I've seen it, and whether or not I will still enjoy it. But I was just happy to see Michael Keaton again. I remember that much.
Yeah, damn straight. Vulture himself,
Yeah, but that was before I saw. Before I saw that role.
the greatest roles ever
His
been.
iconic role.
When he danced with the spider in the pale moonlight.
Yeah, Birdman.
All right. So rate, review, do those things on whatever podcatcher service you have would be very helpful for us.
Including
Remember,
Stitcher Premium.
yes, StitcherPremium.com. Use promo code STUFF. And if you don't want to sign up for that, go to patreon.com/AlexBolin because no one subscribes to my Patreon. You can hear John and I talk weird things.
Yeah.
That's most of the Patreon.
And if you got any ideas for movies for us to watch or want to talk about the stuff we've already talked about, go ahead and leave a comment on our Facebook page.
It's true. Yes. John and Alex hate stuff on Facebook. Auf Wiedersehen.
Arrivederci.